Good morning, bonjour à tout le monde. I welcome you to the S&T press conference. Today we will have two speakers, Gianni Pittella, our group president, on a couple of current political issues also related to the plenary agenda, and then afterwards also Kathleen van Brempt, vice president of our group responsible for sustainability, who will come in on the circular economy dossier. Gianni Pittella, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. I'm delighted that Kathleen van Brempt, the Vice President, is here with me this morning. Now, we would like to very briefly run through four topics. We had a meeting yesterday evening with President Juncker, that is the Bureau of the Socialist group, and we talked about forthcoming legislation, and we also looked at the future of Europe. Now, we have given to Mr. Juncker a document outlining our 5 political priorities. Now, that document is an official document and will be distributed to all of you, and we are seeking to come forward with our proposals to which we would like the Commission to respond. Now, the Commission President has undertaken to come and talk to the group's bureau every 3 months. And what we have said repeatedly is that we need a political commission which will point the way ahead for the well-being of Europe. And we want a political commission which will put on the table options for the future of Europe. The Socialist group can be considered as a reliable ally for anyone wishing to work for change in Europe. And that's what we think that the Commission should be doing. Now, we don't want the Rome summit to be the umpteenth missed opportunity for Europe. We don't want Europe to be an a la carte affair which would divide countries into first-class and second-class players. Rather, we want us to all move forward together. We do not want any backsliding, but certainly we don't want a kind of Europe which is divided into countries moving ahead more quickly and other countries lagging behind. So a major event is planned in Rome on the 24th, an event entitled Together, which will bring together European and Italian politicians, but not only policymakers, also economists, to talk about the future of Europe. So that was the first thing. Second thing I want to talk about is the crisis between the Netherlands and Turkey. Now, of course, I support what Ms. Mogherini and Mr. Juncker have said. Now, we do not want to fan the flames, but I have to say that the tenor of the remarks by Erdogan against Germany and the Netherlands are frankly unacceptable. In actual fact, are ridiculous, because he, after all, is pushing Turkey into an ever more authoritarian regime. It is a personal authoritarian regime. That is the direction they are heading in. And I really do think that Erdogan should be apologizing to the Netherlands and to Germany, as well as to citizens of the Netherlands and Germany of Turkish origin who right now are enjoying living in a state governed by the rule of law in Germany and the Netherlands. Thirdly, now I have to say how proud I am, along with Catherine and other colleagues in the group, that we were successful on the conflict minerals. And I believe now that thanks to mandatory traceability of blood minerals, conflict minerals, we will put an end to the exploitation of women and children, and thanks to our efforts, our mobile phones will no longer require the spilling of blood. And more than that, I believe that Europe now stands as a beacon for these values at a time which Trump again is swimming against the tide and is thwarting these efforts to establish mandatory traceability of these minerals, because at a time when we are putting an end to blood minerals, Trump is putting an end to the traceability of minerals. So what you can see are two different political cultures heading off in opposite directions. But we believe that this is a priority for Europe, the kind of Europe we want to see, a sustainable Europe. We wish to see a Europe which can create sustainable growth and new jobs. So fourth thing is a very important package that we battled hard to achieve, and Simona Bonafé, who is in the plenary chamber right now taking part in debate there, has done a terrific job of work, and I am delighted that Kathleen Van Brempt is sitting alongside me this morning, because she will be able to give you much more details about that package. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you all. Not going to take too much of your time because it's a very huge file, but a very important one, and that's why we wanted to give it some extra stress today, to stress its importance. First of all, I think you all remember that this Commission started off with the better regulation. And although we're all in favour of better regulation, who can be against better regulation? It was also a sort of umbrella not to table important legislative package. Two of them were very important for us, and one of them is the circular economy. And I can proudly say that it was our group, under the leadership of our people in Envy, and especially the rapporteur, Mrs. Bonafé, that could convince the Commission to come up with a proposal on the circular economy and the waste package. So I think it's very important. Second general remark I would want to make, this is not just, and I mean that in a positive way, an environmental file. This is an economic file. This is about changing our economy for the better, changing our economy in a sustainable way, and for instance, it will create as such a lot of jobs. The Commission itself estimated that in the short term it can create from 500,000 to even 900,000 jobs in the EU if we just do what is right. And as you probably know, it consists of 4 very important reports on waste, on landfill of waste, on packaging and packaging waste, and the end-of-life vehicles, batteries, electric and electronic equipment. It's a very huge package, and as I said, very important. I just want to highlight what we stress as a group, and also with our rapporteur. We wanted to strengthen the proposal of the Commission to make the targets binding, but also with higher ambition. For instance, around 600 million tons of waste are just thrown away today. What we want is 70% of all waste recycled by 2030, and let's hope that the vote will underline that ambition as well just now at 12 o'clock. We also voted in the ENVI committee on the separate waste collection of system for different kinds of waste. Then landfilling. Landfilling by far is the cheapest way of getting rid of all your waste, but it's also the one that is the most harmful for our environment, and it doesn't make sure that all the very important materials in there we can reuse again. So what we want, and that is extremely ambitious, by 2030 we want only 5% of municipal waste should be landfilled. If you know that there are still countries today that almost landfill every waste they have, you see what the ambition is and how important it is to get there. Food waste, for instance, is a very shameful way of waste, I think. Today, Europeans overall waste a shocking 180 kilograms of food every year. Can you please imagine that still with the fact today that in parts of the world still not everybody has decent food every day. So cutting food waste by half by 2030 is not just ambitious, it's also about ethical standards, I think. We also set into reducing package and packaging waste and make sure that the 80 million tons of packaging waste will be less generated. To conclude, let me stress again that the circular economy is an overall political goal. We need to reshape our economy, and what's in front of us is a part of that. It's the waste package of that. We will have other ambitions to come up, and we will force the Commission to take initiative on that, because it's not just about what you do at the end of the life. It's about making sure that the product that we make, take your phone. Your phone today is made to last 2 years and 3 months, and then it's in some cases landfilled, in other cases we try to recycle some of the parts. But what should be the goal is to make sure that the 100% of what contains your smartphone is either reused or is completely remanufactured. And in that sense, we need a very ambitious eco-design directive.
Thank you, Kathleen van Brempt and Gianni Pittella. Are there questions from your side? Yes, Catherine, please.
Hi, Catherine Fior, EU reporter. Sorry, but my question is on a decision ruling yesterday. The House of Commons overruled 2 amendments made by the House of Lords to the bill about the UK leaving the EU. And those 2 amendments, one of them concerned the rights of EU citizens to continue to reside in the UK, and the other one was about allowing the Parliament a meaningful vote. On one particular issue, and I think probably of particular importance to the S&D group, is the fact that people came legally to the UK to live and work in the full expectation that they would be able to continue doing so. And I'm wondering, given that the European Parliament will have a very important role in the negotiations, is this something that you intend to defend in future? And also, would you be able to say something about whether you could insist on the UK having a meaningful vote on this negotiation at the end? Thank you.
Well, look, clearly one of the fundamental points that my parliamentary group will defend to the hilt is that of defending the rights of European citizens who live and work in the UK. And at the same time, we also wish to see guarantees of the rights of UK citizens who live and work in the European Union. There will be a strong and hard-fought battle for that. It seems to me the wrong path is being chosen. People are seeking to move into confrontation. This surely is a blind alley, and we have to ensure that things are seen for what they are. The disaster is beginning to unfold. Scotland has said it wishes to have a vote on moving outside the UK. So, for Brexit, the UK will become residual UK. Now, there are a series of negative consequences flowing from hard Brexit. We'll try and put a stop to that. We'll try and make Mrs. May see sense. Now, the idea of having some huge tax haven is the wrong path for the UK. There are commitments that are being entered into. Now, if I've got a house that I leave, I can't leave without paying for the gas and the water that I've consumed when I'm there. And the same, I think, will apply to Mrs. May, although she's chosen hard Brexit, apparently.
Thank you. Daniel Brösler, please.
Yes, a question about Brexit too. You just mentioned Scotland. In your view, is there a possibility for Scotland to remain in the European Union or to swiftly rejoin the European Union after a split up of the United Kingdom?
That's a decision that doesn't fall to us, quite obviously. This is the beginning of a debate, and I think it's going to be a tough debate in the UK, you know, between Scotland and Parliament. Parliament would have to authorise the referendum being held, and we can't influence on that dynamic, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the Socialist group is concerned. Our entire sympathy goes to the 68% of the Scots people who voted against Brexit, but it doesn't lie in our hands. You know, if there's a referendum in Scotland, we have to see what their citizens choose at that time. And if they wish to join Europe, then we'd have to start negotiations.
To Kathleen van Brempt. Okay, we start here and then go over. Yes, please.
Macedonian radio TV. One question on Macedonia. Do you have any comment to make on the political deadlock in the country and Parliament's non-discussion of the situation in that country and in the Balkans in general? Thank you. That was a decision of the rapporteur on Macedonia, who proposed to wait before the vote's taken on the report to see how the situation in the country develops. There's no negative view as far as we're concerned, but we want to have a better understanding of the situation and more generally for the Balkans. I have a message of opening up. I think there should be restated faith in positive relations between the EU and the Balkans, and we wish to continue the processes that are underway for accession of the Balkan countries that are involved in such processes at this time. Of course, we're looking beyond 2019, but we haven't changed our ideas. As far as we're concerned, the Balkans do constitute a political priority.
And then we go here, yes.
Mr. Pittella, as far as I know, on Friday you will visit Greece. So let me ask you what will be on the agenda, and in particular whether you will also discuss the concept of two-speed Europe, supported, as far as I know, also by Italy, but it creates some concerns in Greece. Thank you.
I'm being invited to Athens to receive honorary citizenship of the city of Athens, which I'm immensely proud of. And that, for me, is the very symbol of democracy. I think you know that I was one of the people who spoke out most firmly in favour of Greece and its position in the EU. Of course, we will discuss a lot of things there, the sort of Europe we want to see. Now, what I say in Athens is what I say in Rome, is what I say to Prime Minister Gentiloni. We agree. A two-speed Europe cannot be the first choice. We can't say we want to divide up the EU between, the top league and the second league countries. No, we want to move forward together on shared policies. And looking not just at security and defence, but also the social agenda. The fiscal agenda, combating terrorism, completing the banking union, and then we shall see who will be there. But let's begin by identifying the policies we want to roll out. We're putting on the table 5 main policy planks, and we're turning to the 27 member states and saying, who wants to move forward? If everyone wants to move forward on those 5 areas, I'd be delighted. I wouldn't wish to exclude anyone. But if people want to stand back, that will be their own choice and their own responsibility. they are entitled to step back from certain policy areas. They can't stop other people moving forward. That's a clear ambition. Thank you.
Questions here, one in the back, please, and then Nikolai.
Monsieur El-Mali, journaliste.
Mr. Miller. President, concerning the declaration of the European Union on Turkey, may I ask you what the EU should do? You're saying that there's, an authoritarian drift taking over in Turkey. Are you referring to the statements made over the last week, or is this a matter of substance as far as you're concerned? And what should the EU do? The UN, for example, is publishing a report saying we've been trying to carry out investigations in Turkey for a year and we haven't been authorised so to do.
Merci.
Thank you. Well, look, I've answered this on a number of occasions, in practically every press conference. And, we have to be tenacious, and our position is very clear. We've called for a debate in the European Parliament before, there's this referendum that Erdogan has sought to achieve, and that would be in April before the referendum. And in that debate, we will state our position again most clearly.
And then one more then, yes.
Yes, hi, Nikolai Nielsen, EU Observer. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but there was the European Court of Justice just this morning came out with a ruling that basically says that Muslim women, that workplaces can impose rules that ban Muslim women from wearing the headscarf at work, and these kind of rules do not constitute direct discrimination. What are your views? You probably haven't seen the judgment, but what are your views? Can Muslim women wear headscarves at the workplace? Is that a form of discrimination? Where do you stand on that? Thank you.
I'm not going to comment on a judgment. I mean, judgments are there to be applied and not for me to comment on. This is for individual member states. It's not something we can deal with at European level.
Next ones are already David, and then we take the next question outside then because the Greens are waiting. David Carretta, Radio Radicale.
David Carretta from Radio Radicale. I've got a question about Turkey because it is highly topical. I mean, following on from my colleague said, what should be done? I mean, above and beyond condemnations at this stage in the game, do you think that there should be some kind of formal action, reprisals, repercussions, halting negotiations? Do you think that we should be going beyond condemnations from either yourself or other EU institutions? Mr. Pittella, well, as you will know, because you are a very watchful journalist, you're on the ball, you know that we in our resolutions have said that it will be necessary to freeze. That was the word we used in English, to freeze accession negotiations. That does not mean slamming the door in Turkey's face. That means that with this establishment, with this leadership, which is driving Turkey towards a personalized authoritarian regime, then there is absolutely no room for maneuver when it comes to accession or membership. I mean, there's no leeway there. That is what we have said. But as I've said, we will await the debate in Parliament.
To join us tonight at 18:15 for a press reception with Gianni Pittella and our whole newly elected bureau. You're more than welcome. Merci.